Hello students, chapter is redox reactions, lecture number 2. Now this is another very important lecture of redox reactions. In this lecture we are going to talk about what is oxidation state or oxidation number, what is electronegativity and what is the role of electronegativity in deciding oxidation state or oxidation number of an element. Next, we will discuss what are the factors affecting electronegativity and what is the trend of electronegativity in the periodic table. We will discuss both the trend of electronegativity across the period as well as the trend of electronegativity down the group. And in the end of this lecture, I will also tell you how to find the oxidation state, how to find the oxidation number of an element without taking help of any rules. So this is very important thing that you must remember, that we are going to discuss in this chapter, how you can find oxidation state of any element and you don't need to memorize any rules. Let's start the lecture. First of all, you must know what is oxidation state or what is oxidation number. Oxidation state, it is also known as oxidation number. How you can define oxidation state or oxidation number of an element? So generally speaking, you can say oxidation state or oxidation number, it is the charge written on an atom. Charge written on an atom is known as oxidation state or oxidation number. Next thing, you must remember how we can find this charge that is written on one atom. Always remember the idea, the concept of oxidation state or oxidation number. It is based on electronegativity. This is an important property of different elements, and this property, that is electronegativity of elements, it helps us in finding the oxidation state or oxidation number of any element without using any rules. So first of all, you must remember what is electronegativity and how electronegativity play a vital role in deciding the oxidation state or oxidation number of an element. So what is electronegativity? Always remember, it is the ability of an element to attract electrons towards itself. The ability of an element to attract electrons towards itself. Now what happens whenever an element attracts electrons towards itself? The negative charge of the electron, it is built up on that element. So what does this mean? It means whenever an element is more electronegative, it would get which charge on itself in a compound? The element that is more electronegative, it gets a charge of negative on itself, since it attracts electron towards itself. So this is one thing you must remember, what is electronegativity and what is the after effect, what is the outcome of more electronegative nature of an element. Next thing, you must remember that electronegativity, it depends on which factors, how and when electronegativity of an element can be more, can be greater compared to other element. So you must remember electronegativity of an element, it depends on two factors. First factor that you must focus on, it is the nuclear charge. What is nuclear charge? Nuclear charge is the charge on the nucleus of an atom. Charge on the nucleus of an atom. And you know very well that the nucleus of an atom, it has which charged subatomic particle? The nucleus of an atom, it has proton. Protons are positively charged particles. When protons are positively charged particle, it means nuclear charge is always positive. And remember, in simple words, you can say nuclear charge is the charge on the nucleus and it is equal to number of protons. It is equal to the number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. This is one factor on which electronegativity depends. The other factor on which electronegativity depends, it is the size or radius of an atom. Size or radius. How you can get to know the size or radius of which element is small or which element is having larger radius, larger size? It is very simple. With the help of atomic number and nuclear charge, you can decide about the size or radius of an atom. Remember, in simple words, you can say size or radius, it depends on number of shells. If an atom has more shells, it would have large radius, and if an atom has lesser number of shells, it would have small radius. Now, what is the relationship between these two factors and electronegativity? It is very simple. If ever an element has more nuclear charge means an element is having more protons in the nucleus. Whenever an element has more protons in the nucleus, it attracts electrons towards itself strongly. So what does this mean? If nuclear charge of an element is more, the electronegativity of that element would be high. That element would be more electronegative. Likewise, which size, it matters. It is important for higher electronegativity of an element. Whenever an element is small in radius, small in size, the distance of the valence shell, the distance of the shared pair, the distance of the bonding pair with respect to the nucleus, it is less. Whenever shared pair is closer, valence shell, it is closer to the nucleus. Nucleus can attract that shared pair or valence electron strongly. So what does this mean? It means for an element to be more electronegative, it must have high or more nuclear charge, more number of protons. And second thing, the element must be small in radius to be more electronegative. So this is one piece of information that is very important in deciding the oxidation state, that you must know which element is more electronegative comparatively and which one is less electronegative. Based on the whole periodic table, another general information and very important information I can tell you that you must remember, there are three elements in total, three elements which are highly electronegative in the whole periodic table. Now, what are the three elements which are highly electronegative in the periodic table? These three elements are FON, FON. Just remember FON, F for fluorine, O for oxygen, N for nitrogen. Now, these three elements, they are highly electronegative in the whole periodic table. And what is the position of electronegativity of these three elements? Out of these three elements, fluorine, it is number one, the best, the most electronegative element in the whole periodic table is fluorine. After fluorine, it comes oxygen, and after oxygen there is nitrogen. So you must remember the relative positioning of these three highly electronegative elements in the whole periodic table. And these three highly electronegative elements, they will help you a lot in deciding, in finding the oxidation state or oxidation number of any element in a given compound. So remember, an element that is more electronegative, it always attracts electron towards itself. It gets negative charge, it gets negative oxidation state, negative oxidation number. And which elements are highly electronegative? Fluorine number 1, oxygen number 2, nitrogen number 3. Next thing, let me tell you what is the trend of electronegativity in the periodic table. If you look at the periodic table, what you know about the periodic table, you know generally elements which are present on the left hand side and in the central part of the periodic table, these elements are metals, you know very well. and those elements which are present on the extreme right hand side of the periodic table, these elements are non-metal. So one thing for sure, always remember, always remember those elements which are non-metals. Non-metals are more electronegative than metal. This is one general fact you must remember. Whenever there is a comparison of a metal and non-metal, non-metals are more electronegative, metals are less electronegative. Why? Because non-metals, they can gain electron easily. They need lesser number of electrons to complete their valence shell. So non-metals, they gain electron easily, while metals, they can lose electron easily. So always remember, whenever in a compound there is a comparison between metal and non-metal, remember no other option except non-metals are more electronegative. Also remember, there is one non-metal, that is the hydrogen. It has been placed on the left hand side, but you must remember that hydrogen, it is also a non-metal. Next come after that. Now what is the trend of electronegativity? One thing I have told you, whenever there is a comparison of metal and non-metal, non-metals are electronegative. Next come, if you need a comparison between two non-metals, three non-metals, how you will decide which non-metal it is more electronegative and which non-metal is less electronegative? See, if we are moving across the period, you know what are periods? Period is a horizontal row in the periodic table. These are the periods. If we move from left to right, we are moving across the period. What you can see, you can see, if I am moving from element lithium, atomic number 3, beryllium 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What you can see from the periodic table, whenever we move across the period in the periodic table, what happens? Number of protons, atomic number, it increases. Whenever we move across the period, atomic number of proton increases. So what does this mean? Right now I told you, number of proton, it is the nuclear charge. So what you can see across the period, always nuclear charge increases. So that is why what you can see across the period, very easily you can remember, since number of proton is increasing, nuclear charge is increasing, so electronegativity, it always increases across the period. So this is one information that you must remember about the trend of electronegativity across the period. Next comes, what is the trend of electronegativity down the group? If you look at any group, what is a group? Vertical column in the periodic table, these are the groups. Now let me take the example of group 17. These elements, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Now if we compare these elements, as I have told you, fluorine is the number one highly most electronegative element in the whole periodic table. There is no other element that is more electronegative than fluorine. So fluorine is number one, the most electronegative element in the whole periodic table. Now when you are moving from fluorine to chlorine to bromine to iodine, look at the atomic number. The atomic number of fluorine is 9, the atomic number of chlorine is 17, the atomic number of bromine is 35, the atomic number of iodine is 53. What you can see, that as we are moving downwards, down the group, the atomic number is increasing, the number of shells, it is increasing. Fluorine, it has 2 shells, chlorine 3 shells, bromine 4 shells, iodine 5 shells. So in which case the distance between the nucleus and the valence shell, it is minimum in case of fluorine. That is why fluorine, it is most electronegative. And as you will go downwards, what is happening to the size or radius of atom? Size or radius of atom, it is it is increasing. When size or radius increases, electronegativity, it decreases. So what is the simple information that you must remember? That when we are moving like this in the periodic table, when we are moving across the period, and when we are coming upward the group, the electronegativity, it is increasing. So this is a simple information that you can imagine and you can remember easily, that across the period electronegativity increases because nuclear charge increases. Up the group electronegativity increases. Up the group I am talking about. Up the group, when you are moving, electronegativity increases. Why? Because radius decreases. So this information now that I have told you about the electronegativity, simply remember, whenever there is a comparison between metal and non-metal, non-metal, it is more electronegative. If you need a comparison between two non-metal, just remember this trend. These trends, they will tell you which element is more electronegative. But how? Now you will find the oxidation state or oxidation number of an element in a given compound without taking help of any rule. Let's take different examples and I will find oxidation state, oxidation number of different element using this method without the help of any rule. Okay. One thing remember, whenever you are given two atoms of the same element. Now what does this mean? There is a bond between these two atoms which are identical, having same number of proton, having same nuclear charge. When they will attract electron, both the nuclei, they will attract electron with identical, with equal force. So what will happen? When they will attract the electrons shared pair with an equal force, the electron would not move in any direction. So what does this mean? No atom could get negative charge. Both the atoms will remain electrically neutral. So remember, whenever there is an element that has bond with itself, the oxidation state would be zero. Whenever there is an element that is monoatomic, its oxidation state is zero, like sodium monoatomic, like copper monoatomic, like all the noble gases, they are monoatomic, they don't make any bond. When they don't make any bond, their oxidation number, oxidation state is zero. Next come, now if you have been given some diatomic molecule. What is a diatomic molecule? That is made up of two atoms. Like you can see in this example, one atom, it belongs to element hydrogen, other belongs to element fluorine. Now what you must see whenever you are given an example of this style, first of all, what you must recall, you must recall that is there any highly electronegative element in the given compound. Try to identify the highly electronegative element. Which element I told you are highly electronegative? Fluorine, number one. If fluorine is not present, then look for oxygen. It is at number 2 position. If oxygen is not present, then go for nitrogen. So these are the three elements that are mostly present in different compounds that are given to you people in the exams to find their oxidation state. So always you will start finding oxidation state from these three highly electronegative atoms: fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen. Right now you can see fluorine is there. So what does this mean? Which atom will attract electron towards itself? Fluorine. So fluorine, what it will become? It will become minus, and it will become minus 1. Why? Because fluorine belongs to group 17. Group 17, they are in need of one electron. So that is why the valency, the number of bonds that fluorine it can make, it is 1. When fluorine is minus 1, the oxidation state of hydrogen, it must be a number, so that this number minus 1 must be neutralized. So that is why what will be the oxidation number or oxidation state of hydrogen in this compound? It would be positive 1. Positive 1, negative 1 is equal to 0, because overall there was no charge on hydrogen fluoride. So that is why the final answer, the overall charge must become equal to 0. Now let's move on, take some slightly more difficult example. This time it is sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Now try to understand how to find the oxidations, how I am finding the oxidation state of each atom. Try to imagine, try to follow this method, this mental method. No need to do any working. You can just keep on practicing mentally, so that you can brush up your skills how to find oxidation state without taking help of any notebook or pen. Okay, look at this compound. In this compound, what I can see, is there any highly electronegative element? Yes, oxygen is there. So I will start from oxygen. Oxygen would be negative. How much negative? Oxygen, it belongs to group 6. You can see the periodic table. When it belongs to group 6, it means how many bond it can make? It can make 2 bond. So what will be the charge written, oxidation state, oxidation number written on oxygen? It must be written -2. Why? Because I told you in the beginning, oxidation state or oxidation number is the charge written on an atom. So you must write down the charge written on one atom of oxygen. But you must remember, actually there are 4 atoms of oxygen. So if one atom has an oxidation state of -2, 4 oxygen atom would be having a total charge of -8. So that number we must have in our mind. But the number that we will write down above each element, it must be for single atom. So remember, oxygen, its oxidation number is -2 in this compound, but total charge on 4 oxygen atom would be -8. Now what you must think next? You must think next that if there is a total charge of -8, both hydrogen and sulfur, there are two elements, three atoms, two elements. Both of these elements, they will have to neutralize -8 charge. Now what can happen? Hydrogen, at the most, how much charge, how much share it can provide to neutralize the total charge of oxygen? Hydrogen, as you people know, it belongs to group 1. It belongs to group 1. It has one electron only. So what does this mean? At the most, how much share hydrogen can provide? Hydrogen can provide a share of 1, and hydrogen would be +1. But we are having how many hydrogen atom? We are having 2 hydrogen atom. So it means out of -8, how much charge has been neutralized by 2 hydrogen? 2 unit. So it means oxygen, it was -2 into 4, -8. Out of -8, hydrogen has provided a share of +2. Now how much charge left behind of oxygen that is still unneutralized? -6. So what does this mean? This -6 charge will be neutralized, must be neutralized by which atom? It must be neutralized by sulfur. To neutralize -6 charge, sulfur must have an oxidation state, oxidation number of +6. So you see, without taking help of any rule, just looking at the periodic table and just remembering that which element is highly electronegative, you can find oxidation state of oxidation number of any element. In the exams, even you can opt for this method as well. This is a method where you will need some notebook and pen. For example, what you know, hydrogen, its oxidation state is 1 positive into 2, plus for sulfur you can find for oxygen -2 into 4, and this is taken equal to 0. Why? Because overall there is no charge on sulfuric acid molecule. If we solve it mathematically, what you can come to know, 2 plus sulfur -8 is equal to 0. S minus 6 is equal to 0. S is equal to +6. So same oxidation state you can see, we can also find by using this method. But always remember students, I always encourage students to follow the mental method, since when you are preparing yourself for the entrance exams, we do not have enough time. You people have the time pressure. So what is best in that case? You must have enough mental skill that you must be able to find the oxidation state mentally. So no need to do too much working on your paper. Without doing any working, you must follow this mental method. You must do this mental practice to find the oxidation state of each and every element. I'm going to solve some more example for you just to brush up your skills for finding oxidation number or oxidation state of an element without taking the help of any rules. Okay, you can pause the video, just make up your mind, try to predict, try to guess what is the oxidation number, what is the oxidation state of each element in nitric acid. Okay, student, if you have predicted, uh, I'm going to explain how to find in this case. Again, as I told you, first of all you must look at, is there any highly electronegative element? Yes. Which highly electronegative element is again and again present? It is most common oxygen atom. What is the oxidation number or oxidation state of oxygen? It is -2. But you must remember there are 3 oxygen atoms. You must multiply this charge with 3. So what is the total negative charge in this compound? -6. So both hydrogen and nitrogen, they will have to neutralize -6. What hydrogen? At the most, what you know very well, at the most hydrogen can provide a share of +1. So the remaining charge -5 will have to be neutralized by nitrogen. So what does this mean? What must be the oxidation number of nitrogen in this compound? The oxidation number of nitrogen in this compound must be +5. So you can see the total charge has been balanced out, and nitrogen and hydrogen, they have completely neutralized the negative charge of oxygen. Look at the next example. Again, this is a different example. Let me solve this example for you people, then likewise I will give you an example. You can find the oxidation number using this mental method. Okay, whenever now this is the first example that I am giving you, where overall this is not a neutral particle. You can see this particle is anion, negatively charged. What you must remember, whenever some charge is given, that charge is the overall charge. That charge is not written on any one atom. That is the overall charge of that ion, of that particle. Now just bring this overall charge outward. Forget about this. Start doing your working as usual, as I am doing for different elements in the previous cases. Again, from where I will start, you can see, is there any highly electronegative element? Yes. Which one? Oxygen. So what will be the oxidation number of oxygen? -2, because oxygen, most common oxidation state, -2. How many oxygen we are having? 4. So what is the total negative charge due to the presence of 4 oxygen atom? -8. Now total charge is -8. If if total charge is -8, what does this mean? Phosphorus, it has neutralized how much charge of oxygen? That still negative charge it remains behind. Total charge of oxygen is -8, but phosphorus could not neutralize the total charge of oxygen. If phosphorus had neutralized, then it would have been zero charge overall. But in this case, you have seen the overall charge is not zero. 8 negative, out of 8 negative, some charge has been neutralized by phosphorus, and still 3 negative charge remains behind. So 8 minus 3, how much charge? 5. So what will be the oxidation state of phosphorus in this case? The oxidation state of phosphorus is +5. So this is how you are supposed to find the oxidation state of an element in a charged particle, in an ion. Next example I am giving you, just you can pause the video and you can find the oxidation state of each element. Okay student, if you have found the oxidation state of each element, again as I told you, this charge, it is the overall charge. So from where you will start with? You will start with the most electronegative element out of these two. Which one is most electronegative? Oxygen. Oxygen is negative 2, but total there are 7 oxygen, so negative 14. But out of negative 14, how much charge has not been neutralized by the chromium? Negative 14, negative 2 charge is still shown. Negative 14, you will have to subtract 2 units. How much charge, oxygen, that has been neutralized by chromium? Negative 12. Because 14 negative charge oxygen was having, but still there is a charge of 2 negative overall. So it means 12 negative charge has been neutralized by chromium. There are 2 chromium. So 12 negative means 2 chromium, they would have a total charge of 12 positive. And for 1 chromium, you will divide oxidation number by 2. Positive 12 divided by 2. What will be the oxidation state of chromium? Positive 6. So this is how you can find the oxidation state of any element without taking the help of any rule. Some more examples are coming your way. MnO4 1 minus, find for oxygen. Pause the video and find the oxidation state. Okay students, if you have done again, it is a simple example now. Oxygen is negative 2, there are 4 oxygen, negative 8, but 1 minus charge is still there. So it means how much charge Mn has neutralized? 7. So Mn would be positive 7. Okay, I hope I have made it clear for you people. I have made it simple for you people to find the oxidation state of an element without memorizing any rule. Now, some examples I am going to give you quickly. Find the oxidation number of each element. Just pause the video, find the oxidation state of each element mentally, then I am going to tell you the answer. Okay, students, if you have found uh, what you can see in the first example, there are 2 elements. Both the elements are highly electronegative, but which element is most electronegative? It is fluorine. So fluorine would be negative. How much negative? Negative 1, because it is a group 7 element. Negative 1 into 2, negative 2. So fluorine is having a total charge of negative 2. So what will be the charge on oxygen then? It would be positive 2. So remember, oxygen could be positive only. Oxygen could have positive oxidation number only if it is bonded to fluorine. Otherwise, oxygen is always negative. Next, PCl5. Which element is more electronegative? Chlorine. It belongs to group 7. It belongs to group 5. This is more electronegative. It would be 1 negative into 5. 5 negative. What should be the phosphorus? Positive 5. Simple. N and Na and H, sodium and hydrogen. I told you, non-metals, they are more electronegative than metals. So no question, nothing. Simply hydrogen would be positive, hydrogen would be negative because it is more electronegative. It is non-metal. Sodium would be positive. Hydrogen would be negative. Sodium would be positive. Negative 1, positive 1. That's it. Which atom is more electronegative in ammonia? Nitrogen. Number 3, at position number 3 in the highly electronegative element list. So nitrogen would be negative. Hydrogen would be positive. Hydrogen is positive 1 into 3. Positive 3. So nitrogen would be negative 3. Good. I hope you would have done all of these examples correctly. Move on. Nitrogen and chlorine. Which atom is more electronegative? Nitrogen. So nitrogen would be minus. Chlorine positive now. Chlorine is positive now. Why? Nitrogen is more electronegative than chlorine. So chlorine is positive, nitrogen is negative. Chlorine is 1 positive because it belongs to group 7 and there are 3 chlorine. So total charge is positive 3. So what should be the nitrogen? Negative 3. In carbon monoxide, oxygen is negative, it is more electronegative, oxygen is negative 2. So what should be carbon? It should be positive 2. I hope you would have done all of these examples correctly. If you have some problem, you can look at these examples again and then you will become able to predict, to find the oxidation number of different elements. Let's move on and take some more difficult example. After that, now it would become easy for you. Just to find the oxidation number of an element in any type of compound. Okay, the example we are having H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. For these type of compound, what is important? You must know the Dalton-Cross formula or Dalton-Cross diagram. This is the Dalton-Cross formula that I am showing in front of you. What you know in this case, what you can see, this oxygen, it is more electronegative, but this oxygen, it can attract electron from one side only. Oxygen can attract electron from hydrogen only. This oxygen can attract electron from this hydrogen only. So this oxygen would become negative, this would become negative. But what about this? No, in this case, no charge separation, because both atoms are oxygen. So both will be attracting the shared pair with an equal force. So oxygen in this case would be -1, -1. If oxygen is -1, what will be the hydrogen? Hydrogen would be +1, -1, cancelled, -1, +1, cancelled. So what you can see in this case, the oxidation state of hydrogen is +1, the oxidation state of oxygen is -1. Moving on, if you have been given, if you have been given a, an organic compound like methanol, what you will have to do in this case, how you can find the oxidation number of each element? Again, identify, is there any highly electronegative element? Yes. What is that? That is oxygen. So what should be the oxidation state of oxygen? Negative. How much negative? It should be -2. Oxygen is -2. Now hydrogen, it will be positive because it is less electronegative. This hydrogen would also be +1. But now look at what is the total charge for these three. Hydrogen is +1, oxygen is -2, hydrogen is +1 into 3. 3 positive, +1, 4 positive, -2. So how much positive charge left behind? +2. Okay, just what I am doing, I am just looking at the total charge. +1 into 3. +3 -2. +1 and +1. +1, +1, +2. So what should be the carbon? Carbon will be negative. How much? -2. This is one way to find the oxidation number of these elements. Other way I can tell you, just write down the structure of this compound that you people study in the organic chemistry. Now what you can see, oxygen is attracting from both directions. Why oxygen can attract from both directions? Because oxygen, it is more electronegative than carbon as well as hydrogen. So oxygen would be negative, but hydrogen would be positive. Why? Because carbon is more electronegative. So carbon will attract electron from all of them. Hydrogen is positive. Now you can see there is a total charge of +4 and -2. Just take a sum. +4, -2 is equal to +2. So that is why the carbon has been taken equal to -2. Okay students, I am pretty confident that you would have understood how to find the oxidation state for each and every element in a given compound without taking any help of rules, without using notebook. You can do this mental method, you can follow this mental method, and you can find the oxidation state of different element. Now some more examples I am giving you. You can pause the video and you can find the oxidation number of different element, and then you can check your answer whether you have done it correctly or not. These are the few examples. Okay students, if you have done this, now you can check your answers. If you have any problem, any question in your mind regarding this topic, you can write down your question in the comments below. I will try to give answer to that question as quickly as possible. Thank you for watching this video. Bye.